Okay, so I figured I'd throw this in here before the end of the video, which was the whole reason for the project, and I just learned this. So we're working on the Dominator XLX2 censored TP motor. But right now I have the brand new baby Hydra plugged in. This is my newest one, right? So the reason why we were doing this whole entire project was for this right here, cheat mode. So we are in the motor section. So we go to advanced, then we go over here to motor and cheat mode. So let's see if we can, but you see that it's here, right? Okay, now let's go ahead and exit out. All right, so we've exited out. We're gonna unplug this and we're gonna plug it into our XLX2. So now we're plugged into the XLX2. We're gonna go back to Castle Link. It's gonna bring us to the XLX2. We're gonna go back over here. That's advanced. That's motor. They took it away. They took it off of the XLX2. So I cannot do what this whole project was for with the XLX2. Oh, this is killing me, Smalls. This is killing me. I really wanted to manipulate the timing based on RPM. And I just watched a video from 3 years ago, and it was in the software, and the guy was doing exactly what I was talking about. He was manipulating the timing of the motor based on RPM. So it used to be in there, but it's not in there anymore. God, this is frustrating. Okay, well, back to the video before I learned all this crap. So since the last video you saw on the Dominator, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But we're working on that again this morning. And I finally feel like I figured out like a way to set it up and actually have it pretty much reliable. So I have a lot going on here, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But once I get this done, then we'll go back and walk through everything previous to this. But the biggest struggle and the biggest issue is getting these big heavy gauge wires to get into those bullets. Now I'm not really sure how I'm going to undo this later, but I feel like the easiest way to do it is solder it with it in the boat. And the biggest conflicting spot is right here. So I don't want to melt the carbon fiber, so I took an old steel metal ruler. You can see the ruler right here. And I put it on the underside of the lip, and I have that kind of sandwiched down to where it should not allow the heat from the soldering gun to reach that point. But the reason for soldering it in place is to get the correct angle of connection, because this is the C, which can be soldered in at this angle, and then this is B, which has to come around here and be soldered in at this angle, and then A has to go in like that. So two are kind of at a 30 or 45 degree angle, and then one's going straight in. So I had cut pockets in each of the bullets to accommodate this theory, and hopefully that works out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and solder on the bullets, and then I will pull everything apart and I'll show you the makings of, you know, the support system and the collet and all that stuff. But right now there's a lot of stuff covering it, but I can't do anything until I get these soldered in. So let me do a little bit of work and then I'll show you how everything else lines up. All right, back in action. I've got it all pretty much cleaned up. Still got a lot to do, but we've got all the cooling line ran. Most of the electrical stuff is completely done. All I really got to do now is do a receiver. But I want to go through with you and kind of show you a little bit of what I had to do to make this monstrous of a motor fit. Now, if you're new here, this is a 2250 kV 40 by 107 censored TP motor. Probably unheard of to run a censored motor in a boat. I've never seen it done, so best thing to do is do it yourself. So because the motor is so big and so heavy, we had to put a support ring on it. Most support rings go on like this. This support ring went on upside down. This is a trick I actually just saw Big B do, and I loved it. I love the idea. I had thought about it before, but I'd never really found an issue or an area where I needed to make it work like that. But ironically, the pieces and everything, they all lined up like it was made that way. So maybe it is made that way. I don't know. But all I did was use some extra heavy, super thick super glue to basically tie that into the rails. It's just there to help support the back of the motor. The front screws do all the work. This is literally just resting. I opted not to use epoxy, that way in the future all I can do is just undo the bolts and the nuts and just break it right on off, and it should theoretically pop off. Now I'm really hoping that I got a good solder joint. I held my solder gun on there for at least 3 minutes on each bullet, between the wire and the bullet, and it pressed to the thing. I hope they're not cold solder joints. I tried really hard to make that not be the case. But if we get a desolder, then we'll know what it is. But I tried hard. That's all I can do. All you can do is try your best. But we've got our wire. Our wire is going to go there. Battery can face either direction now. This exit, we've got the Oxidean line. I tried to use their purple line here, but it wouldn't fit through the through holes. And I had one oversized through hole that I had ordered from Oxidean a long time ago, but I only had one. So I was going to change them out, run the bigger line, but we can't do that. So we've got the blue line for incoming and the purple line for outgoing. Got our JST wires here, and we've got our collet. Our collet is perfect now. I went ahead and took the grub screws and I grinded them down a little bit to where they sit a little bit more flush. And now you do not have to slide the collet off if you want to pull the motor out. You simply slide the collet with the motor through that golden motor mount, and it fits, just barely, but it fits. Now, I've got a gap back here for my flex cable, probably a smidge too much. I can shorten it up just a little. All I gotta do is take the cable out, take it to the grinder, grind off a couple millimeters, and we can shrink that up. Now, let's see. How much of a gap is that? We got 4.7, which is 0.158. Hey, 3/16. So 3/16 of a gap on 3/16 of a cable, honestly, is fine. I know a lot of people look at that just on camera and say, oh, that's too much of a gap, which in my opinion, I would say you're right. Probably about half of that is all you need because the length of the cable is so short. So not really sure. Drop your opinion in the comment section and let me know what you think. But I will say this. With this being the Impulse 32 stuffing tube, I always said it was the smoothest driveline that I've ever had, right? Like, just look at this. It's just buttery smooth. Absolute buttery smooth. Now, if we slide it out like this, it literally goes in and out like the smoothest of any transition in any boat that I've ever had. If we sit here and watch it, let's zoom in on it. Focus, there you go. It lifts it and puts it right in place. Lifts it and goes right in place. And then we look right there. Nice smooth driveline. So I'm going to say we're pretty much done with the majority of it. All I really have to do now is put the receiver in it. So I had the old original Wfly X9. We're taking that receiver out and we're going to put the brand new X9S receiver in, because so many of my boats have the X9S receiver already. I've already coated this in clear fingernail polish to help waterproof it. All we got to do is fill up these little joints here with dielectric grease, and then pretty much find somewhere to mount it in the boat. I want it to be out of the way, but still accessible enough to get the antenna up and all that stuff. And we've got this plug here, which is the GPS, and we have, I'll probably just take that off. That was a glitch buster. I was having issues way back when trying to figure out what the problem was, try to glitch buster. I don't think that was the issue, so. But we'll go ahead, take that off, and we'll get this all mounted, and we'll be good to go for the water. So what I'm going to do, once I get it all buttoned up, we'll throw a 4S pack in it, and then we will play around with the timing settings in the Castle app and see if we can hear a difference in the boat. And we need to make sure nothing bad happens, because I have a weird problem of stuff just poof when we plug the battery in. So we have used the ESC before, never used the motor before, so everything should be golden. So I'm going to finish buttoning it up, get the receiver in it, and then we'll start playing with the Castle app. Alright, just finished watching Wild Willie. Had to have some motivational input for today. And I decided, since I already had the angles of the bullet connectors soldered on at the right angle, I needed to go ahead and pull them off and make sure the solder was good. So I got them heated up basically with my blowtorch, and you can see the solder connections are a lot better. This one, I had messed up one of them because I tried soldering it inside of a female bullet to protect it, and the solder said nope, sucked it in, and I couldn't get it off. And I said, damn, you know, I ruined a nice Castle bullet. But luckily I had ordered 2 packs of them, and so now I ain't got but 2 left. But had to replace this one here with a brand new fresh one. But got it all soldered on. And what I like to do, I've got some hobby grade solder here, right? So this is 6040. It melts at, I believe, 397 degrees. And then we've got this over here, which is 4060. So I don't even know if it says 4060 on it. Yes, it does. So this is 4060. So this has a melt point of like 460 degrees, where this one's just shy of 400 degrees. This is a whole lot harder to pull. This stuff will actually like be nice and shiny and pretty. It essentially looks like that right there. Okay, that is 6040. And then if you look at how dull this is here, that is the other. That's 4060. So it's just a different way of doing it. So what I like to do is I'll start my solder connection with this and get it to stick, and like if it needs to be held in place, and then I'll let go of it. I'll grab my thermostats like this, and I'll put the thermostats on the other end, and I'll hold it stationary while I heat it up. And then I'll get it nice and hot, and I'll start feeding this into it. So this, you don't need as much when you fill it in with that. And they kind of just, in my opinion, mix together. You get basically 50-50. But I've never had a solder joint fail in a situation like that. I've had cold solder joints fail, but I've never had one that's actually penetrated to actually come apart on me. But definitely need some thermostats. But just finished doing this one. I'm gonna pull that. This is like my little heat shield. It actually worked good protecting the carbon fiber over here earlier. But let's see. So we need to put this back in under here. Okay. Let's make sure. Okay, we're A and A. I may need to go in there and clean that up. It looks like I got a little bit of resin in there. Yeah, I need to go in there and clean that up. Let's just see. I have a pick. See if my pick will do that. Yep. I think it's soldering resin. That's another thing when you solder. You need to make sure that you have some sort of resin. And don't use too much resin. I learned that if you use, where is it at? There's my resin. So this is what I use, paste flux. Now, if you use too much of that, the solder will travel like an inch or an inch and a half up your wire. And I don't like that. Like at first, yeah, it was cool, but then you just, your wire's so stiff that it won't bend. And then when you do try to bend it, it'll break. So you use, like, I'm going to show you this. You use such a small amount, and I'll rub that on the wire, and then I'll heat it up with the torch for about 5 seconds. Let it soak into the wire. and then I solder. That's just how I do it. All right, let me put these back. Okay. Needs a little bit of a twist. Now, I do not have any double-sided tape on this ESC. God, that is in there tight, boy. Okay. Sorry if I'm jumping y'all out of frame. It's hard not having a mount and doing this. Okay. All right. The wires and everything are so stiff. Like the ESC is just not going to move. Like it's got it all locked in. The coolant jacket here, or the coolant tube here, all these wires, it's all going to keep it locked down. Look at all the solder. I made a mess. I jerked that bullet apart. Everything went, pfft. I'm like, no! Solder went everywhere. Okay, cool. We're good. I want to show you. I've got the new receiver in here. GPS is hooked up. All the stuff's good. I went and checked the instructions on Castle about their secondary auxiliary JST wire. So this is something that nowadays you can really control with your controller. But it says you can like back off the, what do you want to call it? Your throttle from like 10% to 100%. And you can do that with a twist of a knob on your controller. It's essentially, you know, what I can do on my controller already. Then you can disable braking, drag braking, percentage of drag braking, adjustability, reverse on and off, so many functions. But adjustability for motor timing is not part of that function. So I thought that would have been cool if the auxiliary wire was if I could connect it to this knob on the Wfly X9 in order to just manually control timing. Here, I'll show you. These are all the things that pop in my head. See, both of these are essentially the same, Gen 1, Gen 2. We'll just look at Gen 2 because they're both the same. So this is what I use, and I've went in the settings and changed mine. And if you have this or you have Oxidean's gold one, you can go in the settings and change what each one of these knobs do. So this knob here will continue to spin all the way around, right? It'll just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. But this knob here, if you watch, it stops there. And it stops there. So it has basically an off and a 50 and 100. So it'll sit there all the way, 0 to 10, 0 to 10. It doesn't keep spinning. It stops on the back side and the front side. So this is what I use for my dual rate because it gives me really good adjustability for dual rate instead of just a knob that continues to spin. So I thought, well, it would be cool if you could actually put this as like engine timing or motor timing and say, all the way down would be 0 and then all the way up would be, let's just say 30 degrees timing, which is, I know, is a ridiculous high amount of timing. And then you would find the middle point, that'd be 15 degrees timing. And, a little bit up from the bottom, 5, and then 10, and then 15, and 20, and 25, and 30, and it stops. Like, that would be cool, but it's impossible. So, just, thought I'd throw that in there, share with y'all how I set my stuff up. Unfortunately, when you do that, when you set up that and you use this remote for 6 or 7 different models like I do, you have to literally go into each model menu and change it manually. Changing it in the setup of that model does not change it for the rest of the models. So it's a little of a headache to walk through. It's essentially a cell phone. Like when you buy a new cell phone and a smartphone and you have to figure your way through the platform of the cell phone, that is the type of technology that is in this controller. It is not easy to navigate, but I just sat down one night. I spent about 2 hours, had to charge a battery twice. I went through every single function and I said, okay, once you go through all the functions and, step 1, step 2, step 3, you'll figure out what page you have to go to get to another page, to get to this, to get to that. And then when you realize you can start manipulating, this button or this button or this button to do what you want, it becomes way more functional in the way that you want it to be functional. Like, totally good right out of the box. But I think everybody's setup can be different, so then you can set up the controller for your specific setup, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Getting off topic. All right, let me get this all buttoned up, cleaned up, zip tied up, greased up, and we'll put a battery in it, and we'll spin it on the bench. All right, this is a first for me. So we've got the whole sensored motor set up, and we've got it connected via the Castle Link XLX2 4070 TV motor. And inside of the laptop, in their software, this is the torque limit perform motor test. This is motor test required. Let me turn the light on. There you go. Motor test required to enable torque limit. So basically, the ESC needs to figure out what kV value the motor is. So I have a 4S pack in it right now. I'm thinking about downgrading that to a 3S pack. But I don't know. I mean, it should be fine. I wouldn't think that it would over rev a 2250 kV on 4S. But I'll read it to you. Warning, this will enable a test mode that will determine your motor's apparent electrical kV. In order to correctly and safely detect your motor's parameters, please either remove the pinion or move the pinion away from the spur, such as it can spin freely. I've got the cable pulled out. This test must be performed without the wheels spinning so that your motor can get up to its full RPM. Once the motor can spin freely, power up the controller normally and power up the controller normally and run to full throttle for 3 seconds. During the test, the red and green lights will flash and then turn on steady at full throttle to alert you that the test is in progress. Once the test is finished, the motor will automatically turn off and all three lights turn on steady. Turn your controller off and then back on again to get out of the test mode. This test will be performed at full throttle if you have not calibrated your ESC to your radio. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to put you on a stand just in case shit gets real. I need to unplug it real quick. So let me get you posted up on a stand. All right, so we're going to click perform test, and it says motor test will start on the next run. This makes me nervous. Okay. Let's try this. All right, so we're gonna do full trigger, turn it on. I'm just gonna hold it this time until I get that beep. Okay, so that's when I should maybe go to reverse. That's so weird. Watch. Cause see, I don't know if that's the test or what. All right, I'm gonna do some research. I've been trying to do this for 25 minutes. Let me watch some videos and see. I'll get back on here. All right, it's been about an hour after trying to do it, for 30 minutes. And I went through it. I finally did get it to work, but I really don't notice a difference between the sensor and the sensorless. So maybe that's not working. I don't know. So we're going to disconnect this for right now, and we're going to see if my throttle calibration holds, and then we're also going to see if it does the sensorless motor test. So let's see if my calibration held, and if it did, then I said I got to hold full throttle so it can do the test. I'll watch the LED lights blink, and when they stop, I'll turn the I'll turn the switch off. See, I'm still holding it. So I'm going to let go. It did the test, and we're going to turn it off. Okay? So maybe it works. I'm not sure. Okay? So now we can go back on. And now, see, let's see. It's still, like, to me, that's still cogging, you know. But it may be just because it's a big-ass motor. This is literally the first big motor I've ever owned that is censored, so it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. All right, let's see. Zoom in on it. Ah! Cool. All right, let's talk about what I learned. I've been here for like 2 hours trying to figure this out, and I've watched like 3 videos. Nobody really talks about the exact reason, but it could be this. In somewhere it said maybe you need to reverse the channel. So I think I have it reversed. Base settings, channel reverse, yes. So throttle function is reversed. Now, what I had to do was leave it in the regular normal mode, and when I calibrated the throttle, I had to calibrate it in reverse. When I turned it on, full reverse, then I had to go neutral, then I had to go full throttle. And the only reason why I tried that is because on my computer, it says it right there underneath it. It goes like, it says reverse, then neutral, then full throttle. And I'm like, okay, let's try it like that then. So we tried reverse, and then we tried neutral, and then we went full throttle. And then when I turned it on, full throttle was reverse, neutral was neutral, and reverse was forward. So then I went in and reversed it, and now it works. So that was, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that happen. But if you have, let me know in the comments. But it seems like everything's working. 4S pack, I'm happy with it. Been kind of keeping my hands on the motor wiring and stuff like that to make sure nothing got burned up. But nothing got hot. Everything's smooth. I think it's time for a maiden run tomorrow. So we'll take it out to the pond and we'll see what happens. But long video, kind of pointless. But hopefully if this teaches anybody anything, don't get frustrated. There's tons of information on the internet, and even though the information you watch and you spend time on may not be exactly what it is to fix your problem, I think no matter what you watch, like I watched Kilowatt RC, and that was who I was watching, how he was holding the trigger and letting go and doing this, and I'm like, well, mine's not doing what yours is doing. And then I watched, I think it was like RC Innovation, and he was explaining some stuff. He did exactly what Kilowatt RC did. Didn't work for me, and that's why I was like pulling my hair out. You see the big section right here that's missing? All that, I pulled it out. But yeah, it was a little infuriating. I've been down this road with the XLX2 in the past with this controller, and getting it to set up is just sometimes frustrating, but I don't know why. Reverse, neutral, then forward. So I tried it a million different ways, reversing the channel before, you know, trying forward, neutral, then reverse. Don't know. I just saw it on the screen, and it works. So, all right, I'm going to end it here. We'll see y'all later. Peace.